Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And I'm very, very excited to bring Terry Williams on the show for our 11th player interview that we've done on the Canadian Football Central podcast. Terry, thank you so much for joining us.
Man, it's wonderful to be here, man. I love talking Canadian football. I love Canada. So, man, it's good to be here.
Absolutely. And it's funny because we had... We were sending a bunch of these out, and when I first put out a post that we're doing it, I had to specify what Terry Williams it was, because There are a few Terry Williams, of course. There's a returner as well for the BC Lions currently. But I said, no, we're talking about the one that ran the longest punt return touchdown in Grey Cup game history. That Terry Williams. And so, again, I really appreciate you coming on. And so we like typically going through kind of a player's career and kind of how they got to it. So what got you into gridiron football?
Man, just as a little kid coming up in New Jersey, I mean, we pretty much played every sport in the backyard, man, in the streets and stuff like that. We played basketball, football, we raced each other. My cousins, one of my cousins, Giles Tucker, he played for the Chargers back in 2007. I grew up with him and Jeremy Tucker. We all grew up together, and we just messed around all the time. So since that point, I just stuck with it, and I was pretty good, so kept it going. So
there you go. Yeah. So you had gotten into football kind of at a young age. You were saying you were just kind of played all sorts of different sports, and so I guess what kind of made you like settle into football? I guess, as opposed to necessarily, because I mean, if you're playing all these different sports, you probably had maybe an option here or an option there. What made kind of football the one for you?
To be honest, I don't know, man, because I was always fast. Basketball, I was pretty decent. I don't know. I think football just really stuck with me. I was really good with it. Plus, like, the people I came up from underneath, like, just idolizing, like, my cousin who played for the Chargers. He pretty much did both sports, basketball and football, but he stuck to football. So for me, it was just like, I don't know, pretty much a no-brainer. And just excelling through the, little league all the way up. I just felt like it was my thing. So just having that push, and for me, it was just like, I love it. So pretty much.
Absolutely. So it would have been basketball if you went into something else other than football?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to be like 6'7" or 6'9" in height, so I don't know if it for you guys, but so obviously it would have been probably basketball if I didn't end up playing football, if I was that tall. But for me, I love the game of football, man. It's just the camaraderie with your teammates, being in a locker room, all for one purpose, and it's a team game, and I love it, man. So I feel like even if I had to pick, I probably still would pick football because it's just a great sport.
And it's the sport that you can go tackle and hit someone without getting into trouble.
Right. Unfortunately, they didn't let me play defense long enough, but man, I used to love playing defense when I was coming up in the little leagues and high school and stuff like that. But it's great, man. I love it.
Well, and I like how you you tapped on the camaraderie. As I mean, I'd always grown up. I grew up in Canada. I grew up here in Winnipeg, and up here in Canada, hockey is everything. And it is the biggest thing. There's so, like, every single age group, there's like 8 different leagues and just levels, just like absolute, like, it's just a ridiculous amount. And I'd always felt that in hockey. But then when I got into high school, and that's when I kind of first gotten exposed. I mean, I knew we had 3 downs, the US had 4, and Milt Stiegel was fantastic. That was my knowledge of football at that point, for the most part, going into that. And Tom Brady, that was what I knew. But then kind of going into high school, that's when I kind of started playing football. And I knew it was a team sport like hockey. However, I will say, I love hockey. Hockey will always be my favorite sport in the world. But the team aspect of football, I didn't realize quite how much, like, it was like you are, like, because I played offensive line, and it was like you are in the trenches, you are going to war with these people every single week. And that was how it felt. And it was very much as a unit, and that was one of the things I loved about it, and one of the things that really helped me and my teammates kind of bond and kind of brought us together. And so that was probably awesome that you're able to continue with that.
Dude, it's a lifelong brotherhood. It's like other sports, it's not as much, like, obviously track and more individualized, but as far as football, like, you become, from the first day of camp till the last day of practice, you guys are like brothers, and it lasts so long, like through different careers, through you guys end up being best friends, more than the best friends that people you grew up with, only because you guys battled together, cried, bled, sweat, everything, with
Yep.
these people. So it's no sport like it.
Absolutely.
So the next question is: so you went to Kutztown University. I assume that that's a D2, D3 school, correct?
Yeah, Division 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like at the college?
Uh, it was cool. I was more focused on playing football, to be honest with you. I actually liked it. Wasn't like no big time college that I dreamed of going to. Unfortunately, when I came out of high school, I was supposed to go to Arizona State, and then I went to a junior college in Arizona called Phoenix College. So I was there for 2 years. But the whole point of it is you have to get your degree in order to move on and transfer to Division 1, which Arizona State offered me a scholarship to go there, but I had to finish at the junior college. But unfortunately, I played football, but my grades weren't good enough, so I ended up transferring to a Division 2 school, and I made the most of it, man. I mean, I met a lot of people. I know Jordan Morgan got drafted, one of the old linemen, and another guy that was behind me. He's now playing for the Lions, Craig Reynolds. So it was great, man. I formed a lot of bonds with them. But it was a great college, man. It's now they're pretty good now. So I haven't been there in some years now, but yeah, it was pretty good. It was a great experience, though.
Absolutely.
What's your best college memory? Now, this is one football related and one non-football
So it's
related.
a bit of a two-parter.
Yeah.
Wow, my best. Wait. Ask me the question again. My best.
Okay. Your best college memory, one non-football and one football.
My best college memory.
He's probably like, man, I'm 32 and I gotta go back to my early days.
All right. My best football moment for college. Uh, Shoot. I guess when I set the record on having the longest run, and I think it was school history. It was like
Oh,
98.
nice.
Oh, there.
98
Yeah,
yards.
yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that was cool. Best non-football memory in college was easily junior college in Arizona. That was a phenomenal experience to say the least. It was like 6, 7 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment. We had roaches, we had bed bugs, we had everything, and it was like the hardest thing you could do. But we band together and we thugged it out in that place, man. I just saw all those guys, man. Shout out to them guys, man.
I wouldn't even know how to fit that many people into such a small space.
Dude, people sleeping in the living room, people sleeping in the like 2 people in one room. Like it was.
I was about to say for anyone who just tuned in, we asked him his best college memory with all the cockroaches and bed rugs.
Yes.
But hey, if it sounds like it was the bonding that really was the memory out of that.
But it was just the getting over that hump. Everybody's trying to move on to a Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, whatever. We're trying to move on and leave that place. So
you're all in the hole together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Despite the bed bugs and roaches and shit, but yeah.
Could have probably done without that, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fair enough. So what was it like growing up like in New Jersey? Just in general.
It was I say it's like the best state in the US. I mean, not trying to be biased, but it was great, man.
Be biased all you want. I'm asking you. I'm not. There's nothing objective. This is your opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Like 15 minutes from New York City. There's always something to do. The culture is great. It's like basically like a little concrete jungle. There's always something to do. You walk down the street, you walk outside your house. There's always something going on, something happening. We end up playing sports on the concrete. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a phenomenal experience, like no other. Love Jersey. So, but I wish it was the only difference that I wish it was. I remember one time I went down to Florida to work out with Mark and Michelle. He currently plays receiver for the Stampeders, number 80. Worked out with him one time, and it was crazy because it was like during a weekday, and we're on the field working out during the off season, and it was like I would say like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and people have school, work, whatever, and we're working out there, NFL guys, me marking, and then you have like little kids coming, actually like working out with us during school hours, and they're like running routes just as better than guys in the league.
Wow.
So I wish that Jersey was like that because just getting brought up in that type of thing. A lot of people from Jersey don't. I mean, we're good at football, but like we're not as like groomed as other states like Texas and Florida and stuff like that. So that's the
Yeah.
only little down. But other than that, it was great.
So, interesting fact. I'm probably going really showing my age here. I think 2015, I did 3 baseball games in one weekend. So I did the Pirates, the Phillies, and then I went to Queens, New York.
Oh wow, how was that?
All in one weekend.
Oh wow,
And let me tell you, going on the toll to go to New York,
right.
I've never. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's the tolls in the U.S. they have their price, but
That was
just to go on. So we were going to New York because I always wanted to see like where like Times Square where they dropped the ball on New Year's.
right.
It was so busy. I think we paid like $40 just to go on the toll.
Yeah.
And we couldn't even park. We just like drove by it and then it's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, because you're gonna pay arm and a leg just to park, bro. Like if you find 9 times out of 10, you have to go buy like parking and stuff like that, where they put your car in a parking garage and they charge at least upwards of $20-$30 per hour or something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a madhouse. It's like millions of people just walking around, running around and stuff.
Yeah.
So
no, but I feel like some of those some different places in the States will kind of be like that. Like I remember you were talking about kind of how in like Florida and maybe in Texas and in some of those southern states, they'll almost kind of groom you into football, which it's funny because that sounds kind of familiar as a Canadian, but just with hockey.
Right.
Although I will say, I think there's a little bit of that football, like almost being groomed into football over in Saskatchewan, because Saskatchewan, with them kind of that being their only pro sports team is the Riders.
Right.
Definitely a bit of that there. And I just find that kind of interesting in New Jersey, because correct me if I'm wrong, don't both New York teams play in New Jersey? Both the Jets and the Giants, they play at MetLife Stadium, I believe, is in New Jersey, right?
Yep, both of them. And their headquarters is in New Jersey, because I ended up it's kind of crazy. When I came out of college, I got picked up by the Giants. That was pretty cool. And then I signed with the Jets for a period of time. So I had both my teams in my backyard. So I was always telling people like, "Yo, we might as well just call the Jets New Jersey Jets and let them keep the Giants." Like but
exactly,
they took everything, and they took the Nets from us. We used to have the New Jersey. Now it's freaking New York Brooklyn Nets now. So so speaking of Saskatchewan, I just want to give a shout out to Corey Mace, head coach of the Rough Riders, and Mark Mueller, OC. That's my guy. So. He's from Saskatchewan too, so I just want to give him a shout out.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That brings back some old memories.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that you started the Jets, New York Jets, back in 2016. Describe your journey to the CFL for the first time after playing with the Jets.
Okay, so something a lot of people do not know. I thought I got let go from the Jets. I forgot the recruiter's name. He's still there, but they brought me into Winnipeg. So Winnipeg was my first team that I actually played for. And I was there, didn't want to be there because, as a kid growing up, you only want to play in the NFL. So for me, they brought me up to Winnipeg. I think I practiced twice. I just didn't like it. I just had the worst attitude, to be honest with you, because I just was focused on the NFL. And I needed to grow up a little bit. And when I got cut, I remember the GM and the head coach now, Mike O'Shea, they said the reason why they cut me was because I had to learn to be a better pro. That was his exact words. And then I went back down. I think I got signed with the Jets again for a second, and then they cut me. It was crazy. It's like revolving door. But when I went back to then I had to try it with Calgary, and everything was the rest was history for that one. I just had to grow up more into that, and I think what Michael Shea did for me was like a setting stone for my career, because it just showed me like, hey, like, you might think you have it made, you might think it's, everything is given to you, but you have to transform your personality and what you're doing and your work ethic. And I was able to stick and play football for Calgary. So
I mean when you come out of even the new players that we see now, where they come out of college and university, and then it's like the CFL's like their first year pro. It's almost like, okay, now you're not, the old high school kid that you used to be. You're not the college. You can't joke around. You got to take things serious, and you got to buckle down and not.
Yeah. Well, and a few things, because firstly, massive respect for you being able to say that. I like in the sense of that you had taken some time to grow, just because there's a lot of people that I don't think would be willing to admit that. And so first of all, massive amount of respect for that. Secondly, not wanting to be in Winnipeg. There's a lot of people I know who are from here who share that sentiment in some way, shape, or form. I love this city for all the flaws it has, even. But I just figured that was just something interesting to chat about. But it's funny because we've had some players who have come to the CFL who have been very, very aware of that and have almost actively reached that out if NFL opportunities haven't really presented itself. But then we've even had some situations where guys have never heard about the CFL and ended up there. Like we had Micah Awe on, and Micah Awe was talking about how he learned about the NFL from injuring Carson Wentz in the preseason in the NFL, gets cut, and it's all over ESPN about this injury, showing it over and over, him hitting this guy, and he gets a phone call from Saskatchewan and BC, and he didn't even know what the CFL was at that point. And so how did you kind of find out when did you first hear about the Canadian Football League?
My agent, forgot his name. I've been through 3 agents now. So my agent at that time, he said Winnipeg was really interested in me and I had to do a tryout. So usually when they come to the US, they have like camps, tryouts for certain areas, right? So they usually charge $100 per person, but the people that they really want to see, they don't charge at all. So my agent was like, yo, this Winnipeg really wants to see you. And it's in the Canadian Football League. So I just looked it up, saw what it was, and I'm like, CFL, that's whatever. So I just did the tryout. I did excellent, I think. And obviously when they brought me up, but yeah, that's what I really found out about it. And then when I was there, we didn't really go anywhere. First, when I came to Winnipeg, it was just straight from the dorms right to the stadium for practice. But for me, I was just like, it's just a backup league as the NFL. If I end up going there, I'm going to end up dominating because it's like who's really up there, to be honest with you. Because you really don't hear anything about it. Like, I guess if you see it on TV, sometimes you end up changing the channel. Back then, I guess for me, I don't really remember so much about it. But yeah, it was from agent. That was the first time I heard about CFL.
So that was kind of like your first exposure to it. So when you went up and you were searching up, I guess one thing I'm curious about, what was kind of your first, because I'm assuming you probably knew about that is 3-down football and that there were kind of some rule changes specific. So what was kind of your thought process with that?
That was tough. I'm not going to lie, because especially as a running back, you're accustomed to getting the ball first down, second down, maybe third down. But for the CFL, dude, if you don't get like at least 5 yards on first down, we're 9 times out of 10 we're not giving it back to you, because you're going to end up punting on third. So that was a big transition, and then the motion, like you're accustomed to
waggle,
sitting still and being stagnant the whole time, and now you're up there, and we have plays just for people motioning. So it was such a learning curve. And then they're 1 yard off the ball, and then being a punt returner, you have a 5-yard halo. Like the rules were like, that was definitely a learning curve for me at first, but it was easier because what made it a little easier is that, at that time I had like Jerome Messam, but all the guys that's coming and competing with me are all Americans playing the running back position, so we're all struggling to have that learning curve. So it's a matter of who can learn that shit first and get it down to end up sticking. So, but then like once you get it, it's like, to me, I love the Canadian Football League more than the NFL for sure. I don't know about college. I love college football, but just the rules, like how they do things, it's just really exciting, bro. Like the game can, no safe is safe. No lead is safe until
no lead is safe in the CFL. That's the motto. Yep. And we've seen it happen so many times where it seems like the game is won and it just gets flipped on his head. Although one thing I was gonna say that you probably I have imagined you must have loved the wider field as a returner, having all that more room to get around. Like that probably was something you did like.
It was cool, but at the same time, you get so accustomed to shorter fields. I don't think in my career, looking back, I feel like I could have utilized the width of the field a lot more. But I feel like just being accustomed to having a small field your whole entire life, and this is muscle memory. I feel like just not utilizing it all the way in my career, I feel like I could have really excelled even more. But yeah, man, just that aspect of it, you really feel it when you got to run gassers at practice for like conditioning when the coach is pissed off and you got to run to the one end and come back, dude. And it's like, yo, why is this shit that much longer? But it's cool.
Fair enough.
But I do have a follow-up question for that.
Mm-hmm.
When you were returner in Calgary, did you ever like do like the whole wave off for returns and then it's like, oh crap, these guys don't have that up here?
There's no fair catch.
Yeah, so to be real with you guys, I never really did returner. I did it one time in high school, but that was pretty much it. So I never been a returner, punt returner. So I never got accustomed to calling a fair catch. So actually got thrown into there by damn, he gonna be mad at me today.
Dave Dickinson?
But no, Mark Killam. Sorry,
Oh.
Mark, my fault, coach. Man, not my bad. But yeah, man, he threw me in there, and I didn't want to do it. Like I literally just wanted to play running back, and that's the year. Well, yeah, then Roy Finch got hurt, and then he just kept throwing me in practice, and every time, like I know I'm like going off on a tangent right now, but
Go for it.
like they would throw me in there, and then like every practice, I'm like dropping them. This is before I even played, so I would just keep dropping the punt, and people would like everybody would laugh. So, but yeah, shout out to him, Mark Killam, man. He forced me to do it, and then I ended up getting it, and yeah, the rest is history. But yeah, they told us if you do one thing, they did say if you do call fair catch, they can call a flag for that shit or something like that. So,
Well,
yeah.
I will say there are some players. Carter, I'm trying to remember his name, but I can't think of it. The one, I think it was last year, the year before, with Chris Jones in Edmonton,
Where the guy
struck-
forgot about the rouge. He didn't realize that if he needed in the end zone, he'd give up a point, and they really couldn't afford to give up a point. I can't remember who it was. It was Edmonton versus Saskatchewan. It was in Saskatchewan.
And it was an American that just came up, was it not?
It was something like that, and it was crazy because you could see the camera shot of him going to the sidelines and talking with Chris Jones. And I'm not a lip reader, but it was something along the lines of, "You didn't know? No, I didn't know. You didn't know." Just
Especially
the pure shock.
Yeah, man. Especially when your nerves going, like just instinct kicks in. So when you've been playing a certain sport forever, and now it's like that's all you think, and you're like muscle memory. So for that, I felt for him, bro. But yeah, you gotta learn the rules, man.
So the next question is, other than the 106th Grey Cup, because I know that's going to be your all-time favorite memory, but other than the 106th Grey Cup winning it, what is your best memory in the CFL besides winning that Grey Cup?
Dang, that's tough. I would say my best memory besides does it have to be football related?
No, it doesn't
Nope.
have to be football related.
Best memory? I would say Stampede. Yeah, Stampede in Calgary. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but
Oh yeah, the Calgary Stampede.
Yeah. Calgary Stampede. That's why they named the team
Yes.
Stampeders. Hell yeah.
yeah. So if I had to say something non-football, yes, that is my favorite memory in Canada. I love that week. It's a great week, phenomenal week. Had the most fun probably ever. Yeah, you guys made that hard. That's a hard question because when I think of Canada, man, that Grey Cup was phenomenal. So
Hell yeah. So with all of the punt returns these days, what was it like in the Grey Cup game to record that 97-yard punt return in the 106th Grey Cup over in Commonwealth Stadium? How was that?
it took a while for it to finally hit me, but man, that was a great, probably my greatest football moment I've ever had. Obviously, it put us over the hump, being that we lost last year. The year before that, it just put us over the hump, man, and it just gave us the momentum going into the second half. Didn't even know I broke a record at the time. I just wanted to finish the game and to contribute to the win. And it hit me later when Rob Maver was like, "Dude, do you even realize what you did?" I'm like, "Bro, I think it was like a week after," and I was like, "Nah, not really. It's just like another punt return to me." But as I like the years went along a little bit, I was like, okay. Watched it a couple of times, like, damn, I really did do that. So,
Yeah.
Great, man. It was a phenomenal moment. And I'm just happy we got the win. I would have brought my ring, but I left it at my mom's house, so she been keeping it for me. So I would have had it
There
on
you
her.
go. No, that's all good. I mean, breaking a record in the Grey Cup game and then going on to win the game.
Right.
I think definitely the fact that you guys won that game really keeps it all together. Just because it's one. I feel like it's one thing if you break it, like it will always be impressive. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it probably feels a lot sweeter knowing that was a big contributor in that win. And I think special teams can sometimes be overlooked in the sense of how much it can just completely change a game. Like as a Bomber fan, our last
Right.
two games, we've won in under a touchdown difference, and we got 2 touchdowns
Right.
off of punts
Right.
in like one in both games. So it's like if we didn't get that, we were losing those games.
Right. Yeah,
And so it could
that's
be
a big
such a difference maker.
for sure. Yeah, it definitely is. And I feel for you, bro. Like, because I don't know if you guys knew, but I watched my record get broken by one and only Janorian Grant, who you guys ended up letting go for whatever odd reason.
I think it was a money thing. I think it was that we had
Yeah,
so
of
many
course.
guys we
Yeah,
wanted to
I
hold
know
on to,
why.
but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
know
love
why,
Janarian Grant.
man.
He was awesome.
Yeah, man. I know. I mean, obviously, I know why, especially when you get older and in that time, and they want new younger guys just for money
Yeah, this is where
reasons.
the
Uh,
business aspect, unfortunately, kind
exactly,
of kicks
exactly,
in.
exactly. But man, yeah, man, just having that punt return. I mean, I had like what 4 or 5 prior to that because some of them got called back, like 2 of them in the regular season. So I'm like, I mean, preseason that year. But just to have it at the icing on the cake at the end was perfect. But yeah, special teams in the CFL, that's why I love it, man, because it always gives an opportunity for athletes to show that they're athletes, right? You give them a halo instead of everything being
Yeah,
fair court or the old rule in the NFL, which is still now in college. It makes it that much funner, man. It just keeps special teams alive. So it's great.
absolutely. And I also feel like special teams is kind of a big opportunity for maybe some guys that are necessarily maybe not a starter somewhere, or they're not always going to get as much field time. Those special teams are where they'll kind of get that opportunity. And so I feel like that's another area where special teams can be so important. It's not necessarily in just swaying the tide of a game, but if a guy's looking
Right.
for a spot, you got to take all the field time you can get. And I think special
Right.
teams can be really crucial there.
Well,
Yes. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, Carter, it's funny that you mentioned that because there's actually a player on the Ticats right now,
Yeah.
uh, Carthel Flowers Lloyd, where he came up from the States, made a name for himself on special teams, set the new Ticat record for special teams, and now he's getting
Wow.
a little bit playing time. And
Wow.
that's special team tackles. And
Wow.
now he's getting a little bit of playing time during the game, not just on special teams.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's I know a lot of guys, like especially in the NFL, like they make you run out on gunner or something like that on kickoff, and you're just the cleanup guy. You're making tackles or you're making one of the big blocks on KORs. Like those are like essential pieces onto making NFL roster, Canadian roster, especially as American, because as Americans we're a dime a dozen when it comes to Canadian league. So you're fighting just to have that American spot. So
Yeah.
and special teams is a big contributor to that, just for making a team. So.
Absolutely.
So we have our first fan question. This is from Canadian W on Discord. What made Dave Dickinson and Bo Levi Mitchell great leaders for the team when you're in Calgary?
Man, I think it all started with Huff just setting the standard, and trickled down to Dave, and with Dave being underneath Huff for a long period of time and learning a lot from him, and then that getting passed on to Bo, and man, just the standard that's been set, year after year, and those two guys were like geniuses when it comes to knowing what's going on the field, know what guys are going to do, like the right place, just coaching you up. So those are a great 1-2 tandem. Unfortunately, my team right now is not doing so hot, and I know Dickie's getting a lot of scrutiny, but he's a phenomenal coach, man, great man. So I know they'll bounce back, but yeah, man, those two guys, and I know Bo's doing pretty decent. I just watched the past game, so he had a pretty good game. So I'm rooting for my guys, man.
There you go.
It's just interesting because like if you think about it, Bo's having like some ridiculous season so far this year,
Right,
but
right,
yet we're 3-9. Like how is it
right,
that a good quarterback can do so well when the rest of the team's struggling? And it's not like we're playing bad. It's
right,
just like it's one of those seasons where it's like, hey, you lost one game just by like 3 points, where you
right,
lost this one by 2. if you win those games, you're back in the playoff spot.
Right. And then they're doing a lot of like, I know I think Bo got benched a few times or something like that. And him being hurt like the year before. I know that's tough, especially coming into a new system with Scott.
Yeah.
And now he's the head coach, different head coaches and stuff like that. So, it's tough to try to gel it together, especially when you're going against, the CFL is packed, man. There's a lot of great teams out there. So it's like, you guys are not bad. It's just, need some more time to gel. Plus, it's a long season now. The real season starts now after Labor Day.
Oh,
yeah.
So
Thank you. Now someone's talking my language.
And that's the thing that's crazy as well is it's when the term in the CFL, no lead is safe. That's not even just referring to a single game. That is that can also refer to teams who have had a really rough start or a really hot start completely change. I mean, BC, they lost at 5 in a row after being like them and Saskatchewan were leading the West, and now both teams have just completely fallen off. Not that they're not capable of winning. Absolutely they are. Right. The talent is there. It's just those close games can be either you end up with a win, a loss, or somehow a tie. Very rarely. We got one of those first time in 7 years in the CFL. I mean, my Bombers, we started 0-5, 6, something like that. And now we're somehow first in the West. It's just crazy how much that can turn around. And one other thing I also have a bit of an appreciation for is at the end of the day, as fans, we don't know the coaches on a personal level. People will always try to make those judgments of this coach is good at this XYZ, this coach is bad at XYZ. They're not seeing practice. They're only seeing the results. So it's possible the coach is making those errors, but it's also possible that it's just not getting through. And so I feel like it's really, really important and really interesting kind of getting your aspect as a player in your experiences with Dave Dickinson. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you guys won a Grey Cup. So it's not like this guy is a bad coach who is not capable of winning or anything like that. Absolutely not. So I really appreciate getting your perspective on that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Terry.
No, I just wanted to say, unfortunately, it's not it's more of a what you've done for me now lately type of league, business. Absolutely. It's not, we can't really hang on our morals on what we've done. But it's like, what are you doing for us now? But, I know they're turning around with Dickie being, the first year GM now, and he got a little bit more responsibility. And he lost a lot of coaches like Mark Mueller left, Corey Mace left, Ryan Dinwiddie left. So all the people that were there when I was there that were all, coaches under Dickie, they're not all head coaches or offense coordinators. So it's kind of hard sometimes just to keep rebuilding year after year after year. So.
Well, and that also has to be quite something in the sense of where it's like obviously this guy knows how to coach. Look at the guys that he's been able to mentor and look at where they are now. Like that has to fall back on him in a positive light in that sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. And that's why I'm saying, and the real season doesn't start till after Labor Day. But at the same time, like for us, when I first came in, like with the Stamps on like 2016 or something like that, when we lost to Ottawa, I didn't play. But I was on the sideline that game, and it was snowing crazy. But, I think we won every award you can think of, and we had the best record. And then and we beat up on Ottawa so many times. I mean, no, Toronto so many times. It was Toronto. Yeah, we beat Toronto so many times in the regular season. Like, it was wasn't even close. And then that last game, they were I guess they were under 500 or something crazy. And then they end up beating us in the Grey Cup. So it's doesn't matter what your record is. Whoever wins in November, takes home the trophy.
Every game starts at 0-0.
Right.
It's not even that, because if you look at Toronto last year, they went 16-2 in the season.
Right.
Everyone thought that they were going to be the top team last year, and then next, Montreal so happened
came out of nowhere.
And
crazy.
And now what are they 19-1 in their last 20 games?
Dude. Yeah. Man, see, I hate to even give them props because I know Sean Lemon's probably gonna watch this and he's gonna talk major junk. But they just came out of nowhere, bro. I watch the CFL now to this day faithfully, and just watching, I thought Toronto was gonna win it. They looked great. They looked phenomenal last year, and then Montreal came and they came out of nowhere. But look, it could be the same way this year. Montreal looks hot, but. Look, I've been a part of a 19-1 team. I mean, win so many games, not as much as Montreal in a row, but man, it doesn't matter if you're not hot in November. It doesn't matter. So.
Well, and even we had a podcast, Alouettes Flight Deck, a podcast out in Montreal that covers the Alouettes, and they were talking about how no matter how the season goes, don't finish 16-2. Just don't have the same record. Don't be like. They're like, honestly, guys, if you got one game left, and you have to throw the game. Just don't end with 16-2.
Dude, I was with Calgary at our super heyday, man. You know, they went
definitely
like 3 Grey Cups, something like that. But yeah, I would be, I don't care. By the time Labor Day come and by the end of the season, I don't want to just be like undefeated or lost one game. Like I want to lose quite a few because, you need those, you need to get those out the way, man. Because you don't want those to be hot all year.
Got to learn how to deal with adversity.
Dude, because that season is long. We played like 20 games, including preseason. It's crazy.
Yeah. So our next one here we had was a bit of an interesting one in terms of like being a Grey Cup champion. You've obviously got to hold that wonderful trophy. How heavy is it?
Surprisingly, it's not that heavy. I drank out of it quite a few times, but
there you go.
yeah, it's not that heavy.
There you go.
Yeah, not at all. I don't know if it was Alex Singleton or somebody broke the top of the Grey Cup at first.
It breaks all the time. I'm sure he did.
Bro.
I remember even when in Winnipeg when we won it, I believe in 2019.
Right.
The whole chalice had come off by the time it was at the Winnipeg airport. Like they had just gotten home and they were already putting this thing back together. And that's kind of one thing where the Grey Cup is very kind of similar to the Stanley Cup in the sense of that is the trophy. This is where it's a bit different than say like the Super Bowl or the World Series where they make a new one each year. There is one. And so what are some of the, for maybe people who aren't aware, what are some of maybe like some of the traditions with the cup, just with something like the Stanley Cup where Canadians will be a bit, very, very, a bit more familiar with for some people, is that it's kind of customary that each player kind of gets their day with the cup and they get to do what they wish with that. So are there any traditions that you remember with the Grey Cup that you kind of got to experience?
Dude, that is absolutely true, but at the same time, it doesn't apply for Americans because they won't ship the trophy to America. So as the Grey Cup commenced, we all flew back home. Well, we had our little parties and then we flew back home. But it just sucked because I get to go on Instagram and watch all the Canadian players on our team get to enjoy the Grey Cup and bring it to their training facility or high school. And for us, we're back in the States and we can't get it. So that kind of sucks.
You know what? That kind of makes sense because when Brandon Banks, former Ticat, won the Grey Cup with Toronto, he wanted to bring the Grey Cup down to the States for his youth program, and he made the biggest stink on social media. But now that makes sense as to why he wasn't able to bring it down.
Yeah, I mean, look, I understand why they don't do it, but at the same time, it's like American players obviously we contribute to winning the Grey Cup. So
absolutely.
At least let us enjoy it. Yep. I mean, find out a way to at least get a replica or something that goes to the States, so we can bring around our environment. So at the end of the day, it expands the game. So.
No, I actually very much agree with the idea of the Grey Cup being able to go into the States. Is I think one thing that's very good because obviously the CFL needs to do well in Canada because it's a Canadian football league. But one of the things that some of the other players that have come on here that have said is important is just in the sense of that the CFL could honestly do pretty well, even not having any teams in the States, but they could do pretty well in terms of viewership if people knew about it. And that there's not enough exposure and there's not enough people that are able to get that exposure to watch the game. So, if the Grey Cup were to travel, everyone's like, what is this? Like, what did this guy win? What is the CFL? Looks into it. And so I'm not going to lie. I've been pretty vocal in the sense of that. I think the CFL, there are some teams I think have been doing a great job at marketing. I think BC as of recent getting that new owner and really getting interest back in that team, having contests, bringing this and that. And they are spending money, but you got to spend money you got to get those people in the building. They may come in and see 50 Cent and they're loving it. But if they stay for the rest of the game, they're like, wow, this is a lot of fun. We should go to games more often. Stuff, exposure. And I think the CFL could be doing more to market itself internationally. I think having CFL Plus is wonderful, and having it
sure.
be able to be free to watch outside
Right.
of Canada. Although I think there are some games that are not, because I think if they're playing on an American broadcast
Mm-hmm.
already, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie. Me and Rick definitely have a VPN that definitely does not set our location to London whenever we want to watch the games. That doesn't happen. Don't know who you're
Right.
talking about, but but it's one of those things where one of the biggest things that the CFL could do to improve just the health of the league is exposure. And first of all, I agree with the idea of you being able to bring the Grey Cup home and have that experience. And secondly, I just think as a marketing thing, it would just be it would be a really good idea having the Grey Cup be all over the place. And maybe, who knows, maybe they win the Grey Cup, they come back to their town and they bring it out at a game, and maybe newspapers are posting about it. Who knows? And so all sorts of because even when I think of something like the Stanley Cup,
Right.
when teams in the NHL win the Stanley Cup, they'll bring it to other sports games in that area, and it's on the broadcast. All that kind of exposure. I think that would be huge for the CFL.
Bro, I mean, as a kid, imagine being a little kid. One thing you're going to remember if a football player comes in and brings a trophy in, you're going to end up wanting to take a picture, and then you're going to be like, wait, where's that trophy from? You're like, your dream aspiration is NFL Canadian Football League. Like,
Yep.
before you know it, the game is just going to grow tremendously. I mean, obviously it's going to be hard to compete with the NFL, but I don't think so because, the Canadian Football League has its own tradition. It's in Canada.
Yeah.
The fan base can be there. It's just
and it doesn't.
promote.
And at the end of the day, there's a lot of times the CFL is playing when the NFL isn't. Not just
Exactly.
like obviously near the end of the season, there's some CFL games when NFL season is on, but that's also sometimes the more exciting kind of bits of the CFL season. There's a way to manage that. You don't have to be a fan of just one or the other. And at the end of the day, when it comes to competing with instead of like competing for players, the CFL's never competed with the NFL for players, nor would they. And the goal is to carve out that niche and service that. And they've done that for however many years, 80 years, whatever it is. We have teams like Toronto over 100 years, Winnipeg almost 100 years old. And so there's no reason they can't do it and still continue to do that. So 100% agree.
Dude, that, just from listening, like people like Chad Johnson, he talked highly of the CFL. So, and then me personally, growing up an Alabama fan and, before I even made it to the league, Trent Richardson being my favorite player growing up watching at Alabama when I was in college at the time. And then meeting him in the CFL when he played for the Rough Riders. So that was like a great moment for me. So that's what I'm saying. Then we had Johnny Manziel up here at one point. So it's like, there's no reason why the exposure shouldn't be there. If you got big name people that are willing to come up here, we need to grow it like a lot more than what it is right now. So
and especially with the amount of people that watch college football down in the States, if they turn on the CFL, the amount of times I bet you some of those guys would be like, I know that. Like I saw him back when he was at such and such state. And so it's one of those things where even though they might not be familiar with the CFL, there's probably a lot of things that the CFL, a lot of people are familiar with that could get them into it. So
I was just going to say, Carter, now they have that marketing money. I'm sure if you threw the right amount of money at a player, because NFL players make what? 6 figures on a practice roster spot. Like, you could, like Nathan Rourke just got $800,000 for next year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which is crazy for CFL. That is wow.
Yeah, I remember I remember Mike Riley when he first signed with BC. He signed like $1 million, something like that. I was like, golly, man, you make that up here, but that's nothing. That's pennies compared to what the NFL people. They make like $450,000 just on a practice squad. You practice 3 times a week, no pads. It's not the same.
So next question is, because in 2019 you played with Calgary, then we had the COVID year that seems like so far long ago,
right?
And then in 21 you were with Edmonton. How do you adapt in a new environment and changing and systems when you're changing your team?
Bro, that experience was the hardest football life experience I've ever endured. Just not just going from Calgary to Edmonton, but it wasn't like a traditional going from one city to other. We were, locked down, couldn't do anything. We stayed in a hotel room, in your own room for majority of the day, and then you play a game, and then you have to practice with a mask. Like it was just so much at that time. So just making that transition from Calgary to Edmonton was definitely a challenge for me. I don't know if that was what you were asking me, but it just brought me back to that time, man. It was tremendously hard, man. That's but yeah, and then the tradition was a lot different. I love. I'm gonna be biased. I love the Calgary tradition. I know Edmonton has a rich one, but I'm diehard Calgary. So that's me.
There you go. I mean, you went from one rival to the other, so
Right,
so that's another thing.
right, and then playing them on Labor Day, and then end up beating Calgary on Labor Day was like
Doesn't
it was
feel the
great.
same.
But I'd rather. Yeah, I'd rather been on. I'm a Calgary man.
So
That's
just a quick question before Carter asks the next question. So
Mhm.
Winnipeg and Saskatchewan play for the Banjo Bowl.
Right.
Hamilton and Toronto play for the Ballard Cup. If you
Mhm.
don't know much about it, Harold Ballard, that used to be the owner for the Toronto Maple Leafs back in the 70s, he decided to buy the Ticats in the 78, and
Oh
then
wow.
that's how they came up with the Ballard Cup because he donated
Mhm.
the cup. So it's basically whoever wins the season series between Hamilton and Toronto, which we
Mhm.
just won the season series, winning 2 games to none out
That's
of
crazy.
3.
There you go.
Does Calgary and Edmonton have like a trophy, something like that? That
I don't think
Not that
so.
I know. I've
I
never
mean, they
seen
have their
that.
crazy games, but
Nah, we won. I mean,
fair
that
enough.
was pretty much.
There
Yeah,
you
I
go.
wish we would have had a trophy. That would have been dope, to be honest with you. But no,
because I mean it would make the rivalry more better.
right. And they're both in. Well, yeah, Hamilton is in Ontario, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's about
Oh,
a 45-minute drive from Toronto.
right, right. I should know that. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it's the same thing with Alberta. Like they're right up the road, so it's like they should have some type of. I don't know what they
Trophy
would put. I don't know what kind of trophy we would make. Maybe like a. I don't even know. That's crazy. But yeah.
with a
No,
horse with an elk on it.
right.
A
Well,
horse with
I don't
an
really know.
elk.
How are you guys feeling about the elk name though?
I mean,
Um.
let's be all honesty. Do you honestly blame that? And I was gonna save this for later, but I might as well ask it now.
When they had done the thing is that I understand why they did the name change, and I'm not really kind of gonna give kind of input on that.
Right.
Personally, I don't think my opinion matters on that.
Right.
I think they were fortunate in the sense of that their original logo was fine with the double E, and so that they just needed to find something that would fit. I think the Elks branding is great. I think that other logo. I think it's nice that they kind of have both, and they can kind of go almost between the two. I know moving forward they're going to be going more with the traditional, the double E, which fair enough. This is it's a franchise that's been old for a an old, very very rich franchise that they've had for a long period of time. And although I do think, just from our conversation we had with the Elks herd when he came on, Scout was telling us about how the Elks name does also resonate very well with kids. And that is kind of an important thing, just with the CFL, in the sense of it's a bit of an aging fan base, just kind of on average.
Sure.
So that's something that they could kind of use. But at the end of the day, whether the name is Elks, whether the name is Eskimos, whatever it's going to be, they need to market this team, and they need to, give reasons to come to the games. They got to win, because at the end of the day, no matter what they're called, if you're losing every game, it's going to be hard to draw people into the building and get them to spend their hard-earned money on a game. But overall, it's one of those things where I think they did fine before, and I think they do fine now. I do think they kind of had a little bit of just the unfortunate byproduct of the team was struggling while they had this new name, and so there's a lot of people that are able to kind of associate the two. So I think I think they'll be doing a lot better once they start winning some more games. But they have picked it up as of recent. After going on kind of that 7 game, I mean, what did Bethel Thompson get last game? Like 495 passing yards? It's ridiculous.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a shout out to that coach for that, because when I watched like the beginning, I was like, "Yo, they need to bench him and put Trey Ford in." I don't know why they won't put him in, but that was smart.
Oh, I love me some Trey Ford though.
He threw for 400, so it was like, "Hey, man." But just going back to what you said, I mean, obviously them losing, it doesn't help at all, and I don't know if that played a part in just for them selling the team, which has been community owned for however long to
I think
now
it
privately
was
owned.
7.
My
It was, it was their entire existence. So this is
That's
their
what I'm saying. Now
75th.
being
This is
sold,
75 years. Yep.
dude. So now getting sold, it's like just from firing
Chris
Elizondo
Jones.
fire Elizondo to Chris Jones, because when they fired Elizondo, I think we had like 3 years on his contract left, so that you have to pay him until he has another job. And then you have Chris Jones come in, then you have to pay Chris Jones, then you fire him. You know what I mean? Then you had to pay him. So I think
Yeah.
like
And
the
they're still
community,
paying him even though he's in Hamilton because he's only doing volunteer technically.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I will say we do appreciate Edmonton for paying Chris Jones's contract, because right now we're paying Mark Washington's contract until the end of the season.
Jeez.
It does. I'm not gonna lie. That seems a little crazy that that's actually allowed.
Right.
In the sense of where it's like you're helping out another team. You're telling me the Elks can't just like bang cut the contract like. But no, I guess that's how they got it
So,
worded.
I think that's why they got
I'm no
sold,
expert.
you know?
Yeah.
I think
So-
that's why they got sold. It's like, yo, how much money are we going to spend on these coaches and we're not winning?
Yeah.
And just by watching these games, I've been a little kind of concerned because, for Calgary, we always had a packed fan base, man. Like the games would stay packed, but now I watch the games, it's like nobody's there. To be honest with you, besides Labor Day, and then even the Labor Day didn't seem as packed as it usually be. So I'm like, man, I wonder what's going on.
So,
Well,
Terry,
I'm sure they'll turn it around. Again, it's one of those things we've seen it with a lot of different teams. BC, they were going through a bit of a cold streak. Edmonton, they were able to turn around. So I have no doubt that Calgary, Prairie Province, they'll
Even the
it out.
Sash game didn't seem like I remember Sash used to be packed every time we played them, and now it's like it doesn't look as packed as it used to be. That's my opinion. I'm not there.
That's fair. I will say with Saskatchewan, it's never even though they have historically done better with it. They've also kind of had the bit of the unfortunate sense of like, unlike places like Winnipeg or pretty much, I guess, almost any other city in the CFL where they have a major population center and everyone lives there. With Saskatchewan, Regina's really not that big of a city. And so they've always had to kind of rely on people taking that weekend trip coming in and seeing the game. And so I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out. It's Saskatchewan. Football is huge there, but they'll But no, I definitely have seen it with them too.
Right.
Terry, and I hate to open old wounds, but I gotta ask, what was it like to play in Edmonton in 2021 when you guys had that bad streak?
Bro, I told you.
Like I said, I feel so bad for bringing up old.
Dude, that was the hardest time my football career, man. That was like, if I remember correct, like I said, we were in a hotel half the time, couldn't go nowhere, and then, I think they fired. I forgot who it. Yo, it was so like, oh yeah, they fired our special teams coordinator because he didn't know anything, and that's why I struggled so much because we had brought in an old guy coming from the U.S. and he didn't know anything about the Canadian game as a special teams guy. And knowing how important special teams is, you're going against coordinators that's been around. So that was, man, then they fired him in the middle of the season. Then they brought in, then it was getting divvied up by all the coaches, like the old coordinator, D coordinator. It was such a shit show, excuse my French, but yeah, man, and then just losing every game. And then we'd have COVID outbreaks. Then they found out somebody was either went out and then we had to be shut down. And that, like that shit was the worst football experience I ever had.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, that does not sound great. But this is a question from CFL Mixtapes on Instagram. Do you like Edmonton or Calgary more? Although I guess you kind of answered this. Do you like Edmonton or Calgary more? And what is the biggest difference you endured from college football to the CFL?
Calgary easily.
I was about to say. I think we knew that aspect of it definitely.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. The biggest aspect going from college to Canadian football was definitely the rules. That's the biggest one, and then just the lifestyle, man. Canada doesn't really feel much like a different country only when you get to Montreal for me. So it felt like I was just in another state, but more like in the wilderness, kind of, sort of, depending on the city. But for the most part, yeah, that, and then the people, man. People are so nice. The cities are clean. I lived in Calgary, so we're super clean there. But Canada as a whole is clean too. But yeah, that was like one of the biggest things. Just lifestyle, having my own apartment as a pro athlete in Canada, middle of Calgary in the city. that was great. And then getting to enjoy parties, skipping the line, like because you're like a rock star in Calgary being a football player. So especially when we were
Hell yeah.
good too. So that was phenomenal, man. That's the biggest difference, I would say.
Absolutely.
Okay, are there any CFL or NFL running backs, past or present, that you admire or have drawn inspiration from in your career?
Oh man, plethora. Adrian Peterson, I think, is the greatest running back of all time. Obviously Reggie Bush when he wore number 5 at USC, that was a phenomenal time. Carter, I know you probably obviously you don't know that time, but Reggie Bush was the man at USC number 5. Everybody wanted to be like him during that time.
There you go.
Detroit Lions.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when he was in college, man.
Oh,
That
okay.
guy was phenomenal, man. Yeah, USC Trojans, phenomenal. I already mentioned Adrian Peterson. I didn't really grow up watching Barry Sanders, but I watched highlights of him. He was great. Yeah, but the biggest, and I love Trent Richardson, and when he played for Alabama, he was a phenomenal running back. Darren McFadden, when he played for Arkansas. Man, I can honestly go on for days, man. Like all those guys I drew inspiration from. At that time, I mean, the running back isn't as prevalent as it was back in the day. But during that time, it was the golden age for the running backs. Daniel Thomason, like I said, I can go on for hours. But yeah, a lot of them guys. So,
hell yeah. So I'm assuming this will probably be from your time in Calgary, but who knows? Maybe it was your time in Edmonton. But from your experience in the CFL, who is the best locker room character?
Best locker room character, first person to come to mind is Ja'Garry Davis. He played at Hamilton for a number of years. He played at
Mr.
Calgary.
Grey
That's
Cup.
where he originated from. Yeah, that's where he originated from. My roommate, him and Ciante Evans, when we was in Calgary for about a year. So yeah, man, he's character for sure.
I don't know about back when his time in Calgary, but when he was in Hamilton, like when they're doing warm-ups during games, you just see him just trotting out on the field,
Right.
always the last one in the locker room.
Dude.
It's like, dude, like these people are halfway done warm-ups and you're going over to the bench, shaking the hands and just
laughing,
trotting.
joking around. You're not doing much, dude. It's the same way in Calgary, bro. Like those certain people, you just kind of give them a lot more leeway than others. And that dude would just stroll in, do what he wanted. That's JG, man. So yeah, that's easily that was the first person that came to my mind.
Hell yeah. So do you have any when you did play? Do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions that you swear by?
Not really. I feel like I started nah. I didn't have. I mean, I listen to music for sure, but not really. I feel like I don't know, like with the superstition thing, I just feel like, yo, you've been playing this game, especially for people that's been playing the game since they were little kids. You never really did any superstition or a ritual before the game. It was just like fun, like
Fair
so.
enough.
I feel like that's when you kind of take it a lot more serious than what it should be because at the end of the day, it's a game. And when you play loosely, that's when you play your best. But when you show up tight and like, oh, I got to stick to this strict routine. I got to do this. I feel like, I mean, that wasn't my thing. So
just getting in your own way almost.
Exactly. So
that's fair.
Like that's what made JG so good because he was so always loose all the time. He never, I mean, he took it serious because it was work, but he never took it serious, which made you have fun. Because look, the best time you played is with your friends, playing hockey, whatever you did. It wasn't serious, So that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, no, that it's funny because we kind of see both sides of that. Because with some people they can't get in their own head, but then there's some people that they kind of need that routine and being able to kind of get set. Like I remember even we had AJ Allen on, linebacker for the Riders, and he was telling us about how he plays chess actually on his phone before because how he gets his eyes moving. That's how he gets his brain moving, and then when he gets out there, that's just a bit of an interesting one. That was the first time I had ever heard of that.
Right.
But just kind of almost keeping it in the locker room a little bit. Do you have any fun nicknames that any teammates or fans had given you?
Yeah. What is it? Scary Terry. I got that one. That was when I returned my first punt return touchdown in Saskatchewan preseason 18. I returned it back, and I remember Mark Killam gave me the name. And that just stuck with me the entire time.
There you
But now
go.
they obviously they got another Terry in there, but he ain't scary as the original Scary Terry. So.
Nah, because Scary Terry's right here. That's where he is.
Right, come on, bro. I'm the
Fair
original
enough.
man. So
So you've played multiple roles, including running back and returner. How do you balance these responsibilities during a season? And I think I know the answer to this, but do you have a preference between the two?
um, it's Dickie and them did a great job at balancing it for me. Just since we played such a long season, there would be many times. That's why I didn't end up being a starting running back because that year in 18, I'd won the starting running because that's when Jerome Messam and Roy Finch is going back a little bit, but they had left. And then for me, I came in. Well, I was already there, but it was my time to be the starting running back. And then since Roy left, who won the special teams play the year before, they needed a returner. And like I said, Killen was forcing me to do it, and I excelled at it, and I won the starting job. But it was like pretty much we rather have you do the returns because you're obviously, doing your thing there, and we'll fill in. Don Jackson was phenomenal, and then we had Romar Morris, we had Kadeem Carey came in later on that year. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was they made me be more. Then as my career started going along, they're like, all right, you're such a great returner, you end up sticking there, and then that's pretty much all you ever be, and that's kind of how you I feel for the returners because we don't grow up as like just strictly return, but when you get to CFL and you excel, that's where you stick and end up staying. So
Yeah.
So next question. This is kind of an interesting one. So what makes returners with them being between 5'8" and 5'10" so explosive? Because you were 5'8", Brandon Banks was 5'9", 150. James Armstead back in Calgary and Edmonton was 5'10", 165. Like, what makes you guys so explosive?
well, first of all, I'm definitely taller than Brandon Banks, so they lied. That's my guy, though. That's my guy. That's my guy. That's my guy. But I just feel like I don't know, man. Like with us being a little bit more compacted, we just have a lot of more bursts when it comes to us. We can pretty much almost squat as much as linemen, or some of us are more than linemen. I guess because of our lower center of gravity, we work on a lot of power. When you get blessed with height, sometimes it doesn't always correlate to having speed. But with us, where we don't have, the
Definitely
six
true.
foot frame, we get the speed. Like look at Tyreek Hill, like we're the fastest people on the field. So I just think that's us being compacted and how we train and how we were brought up and stuff like that kind of plays a major factor in us being fast. So
Absolutely.
So next question. This is I
What does
kind of
this
came
say?
up with this bonus question here. So with CFL season being 6 months out of the year, obviously people they go get law firms and insurance jobs and selling houses and that.
Yeah, we got guys
When
like real estate agents. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate agents. When it comes to like working for companies, like what is it that you guys have to tell them? Like, do you guys say, "Oh yeah, I'm only here for 6 months and then I'll be back in a year" type thing?
So I was one of those guys that did not work after the season, not because I was like rich, but I just wanted to focus more on trying to be the best athlete I could, and I felt like
Yep.
it would take away from me a little bit, just because if you want to be the best, you're working out 2 to 3 times a day, on a strict regimen. So plus me not having any kids, I didn't really have as much responsibilities as like a lot of other people were. They have to get a job, and then if you manage your money right during the season, it should last you going into the next season, especially if you don't have like abundance of responsibilities. It kind of make it a lot easier. Um, but it's also a downfall too because like once your career is over, you're kind of like, all right, what do I do? You know what I mean? Versus people who had like balanced a job and being in the CFL, they kind of have like, all right, my career's done. I'm going to be in a law firm or something like that. But for
Yeah.
people who didn't do it, they're just like, oh shit, like my career's over. What do I do now? So
Yeah. Well,
So
well, it's
what have
funny
you moved
because
on to now?
yeah, it's kind of hard. And shout out to my boy Don Jackson. He ended up going to getting a job and helped me get one, and now we work together. So it's phenomenal, to be honest.
yeah,
There you
good
go.
old Don Jackson from Hamilton Ticats.
Yeah, it's my guy.
And it's funny because like things have changed from when you were in the league to now. Like college
Right.
players come up, minimum I think if I'm not correct, it's like 70 to 75,000. Like
I
those
believe
people
that's
probably
around range.
think like that's
Yeah.
like coming right out of college. It's like what I'm going from,
Right.
living in parents' basement to, going to make 70 to 75,000 league minimum on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
Only that's Canadian dollars.
Yep.
First.
True.
That
Two,
is very
if
true.
you're American, oops. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're good.
And if you're, that's Canadian dollars number one. So
That's
the
true.
conversion rate from Canadian dollars to American dollars is not the best.
Yes.
Also, if you're American, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be on the practice squad. Now, I don't know what their going rate is now, but when I was on the practice squad with Calgary my first year, we were only taking home $675 a week. So then if you convert that into American dollars, that's it's tough.
The cost of living's probably gone up a lot.
I mean, they
since
pay
then,
for your
so,
they pay for your living. If you're on practice squad, they pay for your
that's
living,
good, at
but
least.
you get $675. That was practice squad at that time. So I don't know what this is now.
Interesting. I'd have to look into that.
Well, it's funny because we had AJ Allen on, and something that we found out this year is that if you're on the 6 game, the league pays for your salary.
That's not covered by the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If you're on 6 game, they do. It's the same way with NFL. Like you end up getting hurt.
Yeah.
They end up having to pay for your salary. But I think after you make the 56-man roster, that's when it comes into effect. Stuff like that. So that's why sometimes it's always pretty good to end up getting hurt, because you got to pay you anyway.
That's true. Weather conditions can have a significant impact on plays. What's the most challenging weather that you've played in, and how did you adapt? And what is your favorite weather
to play?
Edmonton was so rough, bro. Between Edmonton and Winnipeg, oh my god.
Yeah.
I hate it when they got to like October, November. Dude, the ground is freaking hard as a rock. Like when the West Final came, like all those games, like that shit was so hard, bro. Like it's just brutally cold. The ground is freezing. I was always that guy that like stood by the heater because they had the heaters that like kind of blow fire and stuff like that. Those big time heaters.
Got like the hand warmers.
Bro. Brutally cold in Canada, bro.
Oh yeah.
Brutally cold. You guys know, so you live in Winnipeg.
I remember playing football in December. I remember that. Literally like half a foot of snow covering the entire because I was just in high school. We didn't have any field maintenance, anything even close to that. So it'd be like spring was a mudslide and winter was just everyone's frozen. I was playing O-line, but it was one of the guys is slipping. And the amount of times you would accidentally chop block someone because you couldn't stand up because it's so slippery.
Brutal,
it's crazy.
And it's funny because this year, correct me if I'm wrong, Calgary had snow in June.
Yeah, they had something crazy like that.
Because we're up in the mountains, so our elevation's higher. So sometimes it does snow.
That's true.
And then you guys get snow in October. I'm like, you guys can just have that. Here in Hamilton, I think we only got snow like once or twice.
Right.
Like when I say snowstorm, like enough to cover the roads where you have big snowbanks. Other than that, like a small little light.
For sure.
Yeah.
Later, that's nothing.
Yeah, we only got a little bit this year, but in Winnipeg, normally we just get tons.
Brutal.
I know. Well, I remember we were at the so I've been a season ticket holder for a few years in Winnipeg, and we would get to our seats and we'd be in literally snow pants, have gloves. We'd have to clear a foot of snow off the seats to sit and watch a game. And there's no room under the seats to put anything. It's all snow. It's crazy.
I love you guys, bro, because I don't know. Because when I'm on the field, I'm freezing my ass off, dog. But I want to look at you guys up there. You guys are you guys get a lot of all the air, the cold air hitting you guys' faces. There's no heaters nowhere. You guys are just there, just making it happen.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'm jumping up and down. I at least get a little bit of blood flow.
Right.
Well, at least where I am, I can just start my car. Over in Winnipeg, Carter, you said that you guys have those heat blocks for your car?
Yeah, I'll pretty much, if you live in the prairies, all cars pretty much need to have a heat block. Otherwise, it's so cold, it'll kill the battery.
Yeah, I believe it, bro.
You have to, I don't know if you've ever, you've probably seen a lot of cars plugged in. In Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So actually, there's a lot of times, like my brother, for example, his car is an American car, so it actually has the miles and kilometers switched on his,
Oh, word.
because
Okay.
he's an American bought car. When they bought it and it was brought to Canada, they had to get a heat block installed because it wasn't needed in the States.
That's
But
crazy.
he needed it up here because otherwise you'll go to turn that car on, you'll seemingly have a full battery when you get in there, but it's just so cold it just kills it.
I don't know. That shit. Every time like the season was over, I'm out of there because I'm like, I mean, yeah, we have snow.
I understand that.
It's
We got
brutal.
we got a lot of snowbirds in Canada who once the cold comes, they go down to some people
Right.
who are a little more fortunate, got a house down in like Phoenix or something like that. and
Yeah.
they'll-
Oh man. Yeah. Those
they'll head
guys.
down
Yeah. I'm
there.
going
Oh,
from
yeah.
one cold to the next, but it's not
Yeah.
the same cold. Because I
Yeah.
remember one time, one off season, I was looking at like, because I had like my weather calendar map, whatever, and I was looking. I'm like, let me see how cold it is in Calgary. I know you guys are not familiar with Fahrenheit, and
Yeah.
maybe you guys are, but it was like negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Yo, I was like,
Yeah.
yo, there's
Well,
no way.
it's funny because even like a lot of times in Winnipeg, we'll even have days that like Celsius will get down to minus 40 degrees Celsius, which in Fahrenheit, minus 40 and minus 40 in Celsius and Fahrenheit is equal. So that's
You're the same?
minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit
Crazy,
in Winnipeg.
bro.
And the thing is that with you probably got a little bit of this in Calgary. We get a lot of it in Winnipeg and definitely a lot in Saskatchewan as well, is because we're prairie provinces, not a ton of trees, at least around the cities. When that wind picks up, we don't have a lot to stop it. So it just keeps it goes more and more and more. And so
Yeah.
to me, I would rather have minus 30 with no wind chill than minus 20 with wind chill because the wind chill makes it so much worse.
Dog, I don't know how you guys do, but yeah, speaking of the prairies, that I remember I went to the every time we go play SAS, we always stay in the same hotel. I think it's like the Regina or SAS hotel. It's like the same hotel, but I remember it said if you lose your dog, you'll see him run away for miles. I guess because the prairie is so open, I guess. So if you see your dog run away, you'll see him like keep running. So
You'll find
it's
all
crazy.
the tracks in the snow and you can track them that way.
Right.
There you go. So a bit of an interesting one that we got here, and we've got some fun answers for this. I'm curious if what you got here. What is the weirdest thing you have ever had to sign in any league? Like with like a fan.
I want to say it's weird, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
That's okay. You would be surprised at what.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say one that we've had before for context.
Okay.
We had an instance. We had Wayne Smith on the show.
Offensive line.
Former offensive lineman for the Argonauts, the Riders, and in Hamilton. Now, if you're in Saskatchewan, you will realize that in Saskatchewan they have everything imaginable under the sun with a Saskatchewan Roughriders logo on it.
For sure.
And so there was one instance he was doing an autograph signing at a shopping mall there, and he had to sign Saskatchewan Roughriders women's underwear. He had to sign that. Yep. There's a girl bringing in. Oh yeah, I brought this for my daughter. Sign it, and it was like, what?
Wow.
That is insane. That's crazy.
She didn't want to say it was for her, so but not for the daughter of the bus.
Well, because he was on the show and he's like, am I a home wrecker? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Why is there this other guy's signature on it?
That's insane, bro.
Absolutely wild.
Wow. Yeah. Nah. Mine is I guess just like right here, chest area. I had to sign.
Yep.
That's yeah. So.
Question: did you take part in that signing that engine in Calgary for that fan?
Are you talking about the
car engine?
Like Alway was talking about this. He said there's a car engine that all the guys sign.
Yeah, I think it was the I think it was a Dodge. Yeah. I
Sounds
did.
about right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember that day.
There you go. And our last and final question here: what is your favorite stadium that you've played in? So one CFL and one outside CFL. And I'm going to exclude McMahon Stadium from this just because you probably loved it there with all the energy and how loud it was. It really got there. So we'll say outside that.
Damn, that's close between Winnipeg and SAS. Like, there's both guys' stadiums is phenomenal. Especially with the fans, because I was there, peak SAS, peak Winnipeg fans, packed to the T.
Although thankfully Winnipeg is still being able to do with all the success Winnipeg has
Right.
had, they've still been able to fill that building. But It's been rowdy.
That's a great. Man, they're both great stadiums. I don't know. I can't decide between those. Okay,
Fair
fine.
enough.
If I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick SAS only because Corey Mason, Mert Mueller are there right now.
That's fair.
So I'm gonna pick them. Yeah.
Honestly, I love
outside,
both buildings.
yeah, those. Yeah. Phenomenal. Outside stadium, I would say the Redskins.
Oh
They
yeah,
have a great. I just love like the compactness of a stadium, like where it feels like on top of you, but it's large, but it's like on top of you.
feels intimate.
And then the colors, exactly. So I love that stadium. Was when I was playing for the Jets and we went to play at the Redskins Stadium. Well, Commanders now.
Yep.
Yeah, that was great. It was a phenomenal stadium.
Well, that's one thing I've always found interesting about a lot of like, because I don't watch like a ton of NFL. I do watch a little bit, but I do enjoy watching some college ball with how crazy that can get. And if you want to talk about an intimate experience with the fans, oh my gosh, the NCAA is wild, and it is so much fun to watch.
My favorite. I don't watch, like, I'm being honest, I watch CFL, but I mostly watch, well, I watch CFL a lot, and I watch college football. I rarely watch, and if I think there's an NFL game on today, I don't even know. I think they said
Yeah,
that
because it's Thursday kickoff week.
I think they're starting.
Yeah, the Ravens and the Chiefs are playing, so I might tune into that just because it's the first game. But for the most part, college football, dude, the greatest sport, yo, bro. Like college football makes football amazing, bro. I love college football.
100%.
So Terry, I don't know. This is kind of going back before your days. So the old Ivor Wynn Stadium. So it basically just picture Tim Hortons Field, but kind of swapped. So instead of going like this, it's like this.
Okay.
And it used to be baseball-like dugouts.
Okay.
So, and the fans are so close that back in the day, fans would whip beer bottles.
Oh.
That's how close they were. Because when Milanovic was coaching with Toronto back in the olden days,
wow, that's
it's just like it's just like beer bottles, like cups, like that's how close. That's how close and crazy it was back in the day. But now that they've that's why a lot of
they got a bit more security rules now. Not gonna let quite that much. That's wild.
I mean, after last week's Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, is security really a thing anymore?
Yeah, no, there's a big fight that broke up.
They got to. Oh yeah, I think I did hear about that. But that's the same time that when I don't know if you guys remember 3 years ago, when Toronto got into that fight with
the Hamilton fans.
Exactly, and then the GM got in trouble or something like that.
Yeah, GM got fired back in 2017.
Yeah, because I think
he's final.
They got into a fight. Yeah, they got into a fight. Yeah,
and then Toronto players jumped the railing and was fighting. 2017.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
those were the good old days.
Not the same. Football has completely changed. Now, I love the sport, but a lot of rule changes. You can't hit people the same anymore. But yeah, so I have a question for you guys, though.
Oh yeah,
sure.
Who are you guys picking for your Grey Cup champs this year?
Oh.
Well, don't be biased, though.
I mean,
so, if you want me to be in all honesty, the West is such a toss-up.
Okay.
I mean, you could have Edmonton go up and win it out. But then you also, I'm going to say this as little as I can. Mm-hmm. If Edmonton has a chance, Hamilton has a chance of the crossover. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Right.
You never know.
It also depends because the thing is with a lot of the games left in the season, the West is playing the West a lot and the East is playing the East a lot. So there's going to be a lot of, especially in the West, it's so close. Right. All that has to, if there's an even enough split between teams winning and then losing and then winning and then losing, who knows? Hamilton maybe climbs up into that. I think it's a bit of a stretch personally.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest. As a Bomber fan, four Grey Cup games in a row, no matter what it is, you cannot count us out. And so whether we win it or not, I think the Bombers are going to find another way to get into that game, as they've just every year it seemed like it wasn't going to happen. They found a way. And so I'm hoping for my Bombers. More than anything, I want my Bombers to win Grey Cup, obviously. However, I do think if there's going to be another team from the West, I think it might be BC, with them bringing back Rourke and then bringing back Matthew Betts. And because the biggest thing was that the biggest problem BC had was Winnipeg. It really wasn't in the sense, it wasn't like this team wasn't capable of winning a Grey Cup. They absolutely were. And if they're able to continue that momentum, and even if they don't win this week against Montreal, if they have a really good game there, they could have some momentum to kind of keep moving forward. Although I will say, Montreal looking pretty darn unstoppable. It is very possible they go back to back, but then again, their season also this year looks very similar to Toronto's last year, and that fell apart in just a short while. Although I think the Ottawa Redblacks are a big sleeper pick. Right. As there's a lot of people, because they've struggled for a few years, even though they haven't had a ton of changes to that roster, it's just they've finally been able to get it to gel. And it's all coming together now. So I think the Ottawa Redblacks are a sleeper pick for the Grey Cup.
The only way that they'll be a sleeper pick is if they get all their players back from injury.
That is true. Although then again, I can also say that about a lot of teams.
It's still a long season, though.
Yep.
But here's the thing, though. So to answer your question, I'm going with Montreal from the East.
Okay.
The interesting thing is, if it's BC, who do you start, Adams or Rourke?
I think it depends on how the rest of the season goes.
Rourke has to give me another game only because it's kind of unfair that he's getting thrown in so fast, and he's just had to deal with like 3-4 different offenses, and now has to do this one all over again. I would give it to Vernon Adams. I mean, he was looking pretty good.
He was reigning. He was going to be like the MO. He was looking like the MOP favorite going in.
Dude, I mean, if it was training camp, let's let him battle out. But I feel like just Rourke. I mean, with Adams, I think they should give him more of an opportunity to play and let Rourke just come into his own.
I'm with you.
So if it comes time to Vernon Adams getting hurt, you got Rourke. That's all right. I'm up to speed of what's going on. Let's go. So
give him, because they got him, and not even like a week later, they throw him into his first
threw him
game.
in.
Now, and it's one of those things I understand with Vernon Adams being injured at the time. Their options were a little bit more limited, although I do think they still very much rushed it. But when Vernon Adams Jr. gets back, have him come back and do it, and now give Rourke that precious time that he needed and really be able to gel and then get it going. I agree with you there.
Right.
So here's a follow-up question for you, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
If you are the GM of BC,
obviously
you have to get rid of one of them in the offseason, and you know it's not going to be Nathan Rourke.
Right.
Where do you trade Vernon Adams?
Whoever gives me the best deal, because I feel like with me having Rourke, I'm going to be fine. Shout out to Vernon. He's having a great year, but, he's at the later stage of his career now. So I wouldn't really be too concerned with who I trade off Vernon to, because I got a young Nathan that's hot, bro. He's phenomenal. So
and it's not like no one's going to offer for Vernon. Absolutely.
A lot of people
when a guy like that's on the market, you take a shot. And so I think
it's been around a while. So
yeah,
it's funny because I had this question asked me the other day, because obviously Edmonton, just before I'll ask this before Carter wraps it up.
Mm-hmm.
So Edmonton forfeited their first round draft pick when they took the player in the supplement draft. So even if we get the first overall draft pick, I don't think we go for Curtis, Nathan's brother, because we have Tula's brother coming up through the pipelines.
You said whose brother's coming up?
Curtis.
So Rourke. Curtis Rourke's brothers in the CFL draft,
like Nathan's brother, Curtis Rourke.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, because we already have Tula's brother in our system
as a quarterback,
I don't think we'll go to go draft Curtis. So what team do you think he would go to next? Because it won't be Edmonton, because Edmonton has Ford, and they forfeited their draft pick.
Calgary Stampeders.
Then Calgary.
That will be interesting.
I mean,
Calgary has a shot at Curtis Rourke. Take it,
dude. I mean, if we think up the joint for the rest of the year and we end up getting that pick, I know Jake Mayer's decent, but just having that competition come in with a proven bloodline. I mean, hey, I would take a chance, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
And it'll just drive fans, especially if he does well. I mean, you're going to get a ton more audience to come in and just support the league. I think it's great to have, kids from, well, they played in the States, but, Canadian kids also to be at the helm of the quarterback position.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's been kind of a big marketing point for BC. It's like it was like his homecoming. He's coming back to BC from Victoria,
Right.
So I think Calgary could play that up a bit. But honestly, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate
of course.
Scary Terry coming in, taking some time with us. Really appreciate that. It's been a fun time. And so kind of before we wrap this up, wanted to give a bit of you of an opportunity. If you got anyone you want to shout out or if anything you want to pitch, promote, whatever it is, stage is yours.
Yeah, I just, I want to shout out to all my teammates that I play with, between Calgary and Edmonton. I miss all you guys. Hopefully we get to connect soon. I know I get to see my boy Don damn near every day. But I just, shout out to my guys. Life moves on, and just, hope everybody's doing well. We don't talk all the time. So, yeah, I hope everybody's doing well, man. And I'm excited to get back to Calgary at some point. Hopefully it's soon. I just miss being in Canada. So, but to you guys, man, I appreciate you even reaching out and setting this up, man. I think it's phenomenal what you guys are doing. It's great for the game. More publicity. That hopefully they make you guys the standard. I know. What's my boy that got a podcast? I mean, yeah, it's cool, but they need to make you guys like one of the standards of talking football. Get some more guys on here too, so we can spread this thing and take this shit to the moon. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys bringing me on, and I think this is phenomenal what you guys are doing.
So Carter, I have some breaking news for you.
Oh?
Miles Brown has been fined for his delivering high hits on Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros.
I was worried.
Yeah,
I was worried nothing was going to happen about that. Not going to lie, as a Winnipeg.
They had to.
Not
they
happening.
Had to.
So.
They had to.
At the end of the day, it was one of. At least it was something. It's one of those things where I would have been mad if they did nothing. So they did something. Okay. But,
and you guys are good hands with Chris Trevor too. I know he worked out at my boy Natty in Jersey. So
and honestly, too. Winnipeg loves Strevler. That fur coat cowboy hat has been immortalized. The amount of people that go to games now and they're wearing it.
Right.
It's all the time. I literally see at least one every game. At least one every game, even in December. Because if Strebby can do it in December, the fans can too.
Right, bro. And it was crazy because I work out and get treatment from my man, Dr. Natty Banasek from Myokinetics. And then I just seen him working with Strevler because Chris was at the Jets.
Yep.
And then they ended up getting connected. Yeah, so I want to shout out Myokinetics. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Myokinetics and Natty. Miss you, bro. Yeah, man. So it's phenomenal.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. Helps out the channel a ton. And for all of our viewers on Spotify, if you guys can give us 5 stars, we'd really, really appreciate that. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Terry. And you and everyone else at home, have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.